and welcome back to another thrilling installment of Turn the Page. Yet again done in a unique, fascinating new way, testing out several different technological advances and de-evolutions to see what works best for you, our viewer. We do these things, we explore the explored and unexplored just to find out what works. But more interesting, we have news.
Yeah. Oh yeah. What is it? What's the news?
There's this TV channel called the CW.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I don't even know what it
channel?
stands for. It's called.
Is that the news?
It's called CW.
I did not know this.
It exists. It's always had kind of a dramatized, more soap opera-like, but fun, fascinating show.
Right now.
Well, just
soap
wait
opera?
for it. Hold tight.
Soap opera.
Eventually, they came out with a bunch of series based on DC Comics because I believe they're also co-owned by the WB or funded by the WB. So they do things like Smallville. You remember
soap
that?
opera, comic books
Put together.
Okay.
So you got something called.
Well, that's not as bad as just a soap opera.
No. Well, soap operas aren't that bad. Did you
If
ever
you
watch?
mixed it with
Did you ever watch General Hospital?
No. It's a
Luke
soap
and
opera.
Laura, man, I followed their story ever since I was a small child. My mother loved that show
Does
and
Luke have
recorded.
superpowers?
He stopped a man with a weather machine once. He's a super spy.
That's
And
cool.
he had, yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, dude, it's awesome. Check it out. Just look at Luke and Laura sometime.
Laura.
Just totally ship on Luke
General
and Laura.
Hospital.
Yes,
Highly recommended.
I recommend it. My mother would recommend it, and she is a nice lady, so you can't go wrong there.
There's no superhero?
Luke
is a super.
Luke is a super spy, so he's like the kind of classic hippie but cool version of James Bond.
And so, like, basically, the WB is General Hospital
But with superheroes.
with real superheroes.
But not sometimes they're not real because, like with Smallville, we got a superhero like Superman who never really became Superman for almost 15 years.
That's right.
But then they evolved into something that they now have nicknamed the Arrowverse, since the Green Arrow started all this with Steve Amell, who makes a great wine. Check that out. Knocking Point, I think, is what they call it.
Yeah, it's. I definitely want to check that out.
I tried it. My Aunt Mickey bought it once. I drank it. It was delicious, and the art on the bottle was extremely cool. You would love to collect the bottle to make it into a candle holder.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, scented candles.
Yeah.
Tofu cannot even destroy the scent of scented candles.
Just like a nice vanilla.
Yes. I don't.
Or like a sandalwood.
Sandalwood also creeps me out. I like lavender.
Really?
Yeah.
It's very relaxing.
I find it soothing.
Yeah.
With as much caffeine exists in my blood, I need lavender.
I like
So-
wood smells. Wood and leather. A leather candle.
Now, leather,
Yeah.
that just reminds me of jet plane fuel.
Yeah.
So, because, you know,
Yeah.
I explained to you my dad, he worked on jets and he wore leather jackets. He was like Maverick, but not the guy.
Like a cigar, leather, sandalwood candle. That's like the most manly thing. Anyway, comic books is what we're supposed to be talking about.
Arrowverse existed, and that's been going now for what, 6, 7 years?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Somewhere around there. I know that right when I got
Wait, this is
2012.
7 years as 2012 because we're on season 7, I believe, of Arrow.
So
So
within that, they've got some pretty big news also kind of pulling in Smallville and maybe even the Donners.
Yeah, and actually pulling in a little bit of soap operas too. Brandon Routh was actually in one of the ABC soap operas.
See? It's
It's
a springboard.
full circle.
It's full circle. It's a springboard. You think we don't know what we're talking about, but then we show that we might know how to attach subjects together.
But anyways, and speaking of Brandon Routh, we covered last time he's reprising the Kingdom Come Superman, but it was just released that it's going to be the Donnerverse version of Superman.
Now, this is a question I have, because doesn't he currently portray a character within the Arrowverse?
Yes, he plays the Ray Palmer Adam.
So will he be himself and himself?
Oh,
Like, will he be the Adam and Kingdom Come Superman, or will they have to kill one of them to be the other one?
No, it's going to be both of them.
Well, yeah, if the universes come together, will there just be two Brendans? Or will one of them die? That type of thing. Like
Well-
Superman. There's only going to be one Superman left.
There can be only one. I think they all pull
Are
out
they pulling the
katanas.
Chris Reeve Superman?
They're all going to pull out katanas, and they're going to have to chop each other's heads off.
But
What's going to happen, Lonnie?
it's funny that you say that because they
Cyborgs
are
and
bringing in
ninjas.
the Ryan Troy Adam as well. He's coming in there.
Who's playing him? Or is we?
I
they
forgot.
Just let
They-
you know that he's going to be presented.
They already cast him, and I forgot who, and that's really bad. But I know he's going to do a good job, and I'm actually really excited.
If
for
it's the
that.
guy from Harold and Kumar, I'm down.
Which one?
It's
Harold?
not. Sadly, it's not John Cho.
Kumar.
Not Kumar.
No, Harold. Harold.
Yeah, John Cho.
John
Sure,
Cho.
sure. Okay.
Yeah, who's going to be playing Spike Spiegel in the Cowboy Bebop.
Tester, our beta tester here, has downloaded recently one of the skin mods.
Yeah. Well, it's actually not a skin mod. It's actually a full character. If you get the combat pass, you have early access to the Terminator. And
Is it Arnold
awesome.
Schwarzenegger?
It's not him per se. It has his likeness, and it looks exactly like him,
But it's not his voice. Or
It's
anything?
not his voice. It's an impersonator.
Okay.
But it's really, really good and convincing, and they make a lot of throwbacks during their confrontations, like when they say their one-liners and stuff.
Mhm.
He already made one of Predator, and he's made one to Jingle All the Way as well, which was hysterical.
I'm
Nice.
waiting for the last action hero callback.
Oh,
Dude,
there'll be
if he
one.
had a skin where he could actually be the last action hero with the brown leather jacket, red shirt, blue jeans, maybe throwing an axe,
I think they have that on.
that
Oh,
would be
really?
so super neat.
Last action
I
hero.
love that movie
Yeah.
because there's this stupid little kid that got to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger and hang out with him like
I thought it was a
his best
great
friend.
movie.
That's why I loved it, because it's like I could be that stupid little kid.
Well, I mean, it's a movie for kids, and I remember when it came out, like adults were criticizing it because of all the mistakes in it, right?
And the gruesome violence.
I don't remember that. I just remember like them making fun of it. I was like, it's not for you. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's not for you.
Yeah.
This is surf ninjas, man.
Surf
This is for us. This is three ninjas, you know? This is all the ninjas that we had in the 1980s.
Yeah,
and
Surf
90s.
Ninjas like has a fond place in my heart for Surf Ninjas. But even though as an adult I recognize it's not a good movie. Like,
It's not supposed to be.
No.
It was a movie that let you know you
Three
could
ninjas,
do
I saw that
things that
They're
were
not Surf
impossible.
Ninjas.
Yeah. Like hang out with Rob Schneider.
I again would just want to hang out with Arnold Schwarzenegger, but yeah, Rob Schneider exists as a human being.
That is possible.
Rob Schneider, if you have nothing going on in your life, which I don't think you do, come join us. Just show up and say mean things to me if you want to. That's fine. You're still way better than Michael B. Jordan.
I think Michael B is fine. He can Coming out.
Professor Titan disagrees. Don't you, Professor
don't put
Titan?
words into Titan.
Well, I shouldn't. You're right. I revere Professor Titan, so that's okay. All right. Sorry, Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. So that's going on in the little video game world. Is there anything coming up that we're supposed to be watching out for? Any kind of huge releases coming out for the end of the year? Because I know we got a huge movie coming out right around Christmas.
What?
Yeah, we have
What could it be?
The Rise of Skywalker.
What is that?
It's a Star Trek movie.
Star Trek. I love
Yeah, Star Trek. Has a little bit of Battlestar Galactica in there too.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was kind of hoping you would say it was a new Star Wars movie. I've been waiting.
That's actually what it is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah. But surprisingly, we,
I never
with our
watched it.
audience, probably shouldn't joke about that because the Trekkies and the war.
Why? I
What do they
love
call Star War fans?
the war fans. What's a
Warriors.
Yes.
Where did that
Yeah.
come from?
The Warrior. It's outside in the streets. There's actually riots in Memphis right now. A
So,
gang
yeah.
called the Warriors is
You got
taking over.
You got
And the
warriors.
Trekkies are coming to beat them.
Yeah.
Sharks, Jets, Trekkies, Warriors. Who wins? Who knows? Who's got a phaser versus a
It
lightsaber?
doesn't have to be a.
Do we put money down on this? I want to
Well,
put money
see,
down this.
Here's
Who would win versus? Okay, let's take data.
Are we sidetracking?
We're gonna make a bet. I just want to make a bet.
Alright.
This sidetrack. This whole show's about
Okay.
turning the page from a real subject to a fake subject. All right. So I've got data.
Alright.
okay.
He's got a phaser.
Okay.
All right?
Is it set to kill?
It can be set to whatever he wants to set it
Set
to.
wide beam, kill.
All right? So we've got him on one corner.
Yeah.
And then in the other corner, we've got Anakin
Okay.
with cyborg arm
Cyborg.
and a lightsaber. Pre-Vader, post-arm choppy offy.
Okay, who
wins?
I would say in that moment, Data wins.
Really?
He's got a wide.
Explain.
Wide. Okay. So when you set the phaser to a wide beam, like it's getting the whole room. He's in the corner, so he can hit the whole room with one button press. The only thing that can stop him is if somehow Anakin knows that that device can do stuff like that, and then stop him from pressing the button.
Now, it's a photon phaser, right? Photons, right?
Yeah, so you're saying he's going to pull a Kylo Ren and just stop it in there.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is there this amoeba that the Force controls inside photons? Can Anakin stop the amoebas inside the photons? What are they called? The
there's
mycochlorians?
precedent
Mycochlorine?
for
Mycoflorions? Whatever.
We don't speak of mitochondria.
Minochlorians. It's in my mom's milkshakes that she drinks for health.
Midichlorian. Midichlorian.
Yeah, it's like it's in the vegan milkshakes and everything.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but it just passes right through. It doesn't absorb. So
Right, no, that's the force. You feel the force. It takes you right to the bathroom. So, do what's good for you. Drink the green stuff.
Well, like some there's
That's why Darth Vader wears the mask. I can still breathe, even though I can smell all the mitochondrias. Yeah, that's what happened there.
It's just he's breathing them back in.
All right. Well, now that we've got, so do you have a rebuttal to Data beating the crap out of Anakin?
Like this is a cage.
No,
match.
because-
This is a cage match, yeah.
Data-
Wolverine is the referee because he's the only one that can heal from whatever.
Because
happens.
Data cannot smell, so he wins.
He wins. He doesn't get killed by the Metachlorians. There we go. We figured it out. We're going to take a short break and we're going to come back with our main topic. Stay tuned
Data can smell.
for as much as you can handle about the Joker.
And here we go.
So, getting into the meat and bones of this episode, I want to start talking about a specific character, a mystery man, someone we don't know a whole lot about, the clown prince of crime himself. I'll let that one slide.
Okay.
Every man makes mistakes. Sometimes the humble man has to accept those mistakes. So, but I'm talking about the nemesis, the antithesis of the Dark Knight himself, the green-haired Joker. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh,
so
You're gonna have to describe him better.
Oh,
I don't know who you're
he is, oddly enough, he sounds a lot like Luke Skywalker,
So it's a he.
but he looks a lot like someone who flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Okay, Jack Nicholson.
But he also reminds me of the 10 Things I Hate About You.
Wait a second. You're describing multiple people.
I am. It's almost like this character has been played almost as much as Batman himself. As many actors
There's a lot
have
of
filled the
those.
roles.
A lot of them.
There's a lot of Batmans out there.
Batman.
Some we hate,
Batman.
some we love, some we wish would come back. Michael Keaton, please. And then there's just, creepy stuff, like the Joker himself. That's how he'll keep us on point. He'll scare us. That's it. We're being electrically prodded to do the show.
Oh,
Speaking of painful laughter, we recently went as a unit, this team that we have going on, we went and saw the new release of The Joker, which brings me to an important question that I want to ask of you, my awesome panel of experts, until Professor Titan signs on to be on the show. I would kick both of you off.
that's understandable.
That's understandable, yeah, I think
I
so.
would do the same thing.
I would do, yeah, I would do the same thing, except I sit in the middle. So, this is my question, and I'm going to start to my right move to my left. We'll see how the angles and views and perspectives change between
Okay.
the digester and the
You say the digester?
artificer.
Artificer. I don't think that's what it is.
It is now.
It is now. Yeah. Artsy guy and the guy who reads artsy stuff. So, first of all, within the cinematic universe, just movies in general, and we'll try to keep it live action.
Okay.
So, away from Mark Hamill. What's your favorite rendition, favorite actor that has played the Joker thus far? And we'll say preceding this movie that we just saw.
Preceding this movie?
Yes.
Including the movie?
Preceding.
Oh, so you can't include that.
Yeah, because I want to see how this compares.
Okay.
We'll take who
Yeah.
your favorite is, and we'll see how we compare that to this new art-driven creation that they made.
Jared Leto.
So you like the Jared Leto, the 30 Seconds to Mars punk Joker?
That was a joke.
Oh, burn! That burns worse than Michael B. Jordan in the Fantastic Four.
I do like you, Jared Leto. I did like your version of Joker, but you're no Jack Nicholson, who is my favorite.
That's a good one. That is a good one. How do you feel? What out of the live cinema versions of the Joker, who would you really like
Out
to
of the
pull
live
towards?
cinema versions, so you got like Cesar Romero,
I love Caesar.
including that.
He never even shaved a mustache.
He's out. He's out because he didn't shave his mustache.
I say he's in because he's that much of a man.
He is the coolest Joker with a mustache. Okay,
Yeah. All right,
so I liked Nicholson,
Yeah.
but compared to some other Jokers, in retrospect, he's not my favorite. I would say.
I like how he takes us through all of the things that are not going to make it. All right.
I really liked Ledger's performance as the Joker, and I like the way he built a chaotic character of mystery. So, like, you know, he gives his origin story several times throughout the film. It's always different, you know. They never really let you in on who the Joker really is.
Right. That's the compelling nature.
That's what's compelling, as well as his performance and his like chaotic kind of attitude. What drives the Joker? Like, is it just purely chaos, or is something else? And so that's an interesting mystery, and it really gives the character some interest. You know, so I'm going to choose the Heath Ledger Joker.
I'm going to have to say that
Yeah.
I'm going to lean towards agreeing with the left on this. I don't normally agree with the left, but I'm going to have to say I agree with the left on this one, just because Jack Nicholson as the Joker was an excellent Jack Nicholson. It was a very crazy, cool version of Jack Nicholson, but you could tell it was Jack Nicholson. And Cesar Romero, I've never seen him in anything else, but I assume that was him being very bubbly and upbeat, and he had a lot of that energy. But seeing, because I appreciated Heath Ledger in several movies, The Knight's Tale was great. I just love rewatching that
Oh, that's
movie.
a good one.
It's a really good one, and even in The 10 Things I Hate About You, I really enjoyed him. He was just such a young, bright seeming potential. And but then seeing the Joker, it wasn't Heath Ledger.
Now, this is the Joker.
It was the Joker.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that was what really sold me on his characterization of that.
Like, he really made that performance, you know?
Yeah.
Like, he became that character.
He became it. He sacrificed a lot to do that role, and I think that people are going to remember him for that role for a long time. Hopefully, they do go back and remember him for some of the other things that he did, but he did make a large sacrifice to do that.
Yeah.
I will say this about the Nicholson Joker, when compared to these other Jokers, he's very much the gangster side of Joker, and then if you look at Heath Ledger's Joker, is more like the chaotic clown. And so there are different takes.
Right, one's
Yeah.
more of the clown prince of crime, and the other one's this chaotic dual
Yeah.
nature to the Batman's order and need for control.
Yeah.
So I think within each movie there's a reasoning for the choices.
One you could argue is a political statement from the Joker. And the Nicholson Joker is not that at all. He's all about getting the money, having a good time,
And listening to Prince.
and listening to
Because
Prince.
that's the best music you can find. They need to have more Prince music. I don't understand why they don't.
It probably smells like lavender.
He does.
Probably
In my
does.
mind,
He probably
it's
does.
Purple Rain is actually a label for the candle that you put into your nice wine bottle that is lavender scented. And it is as powerful as Mace Windu when combating metachlorians.
And that was a fact that was given to me by my friend Mathis. You're awesome.
Now, should we compare the two, like,
I don't know if we can compare Heath Ledger to this Joaquin Phoenix Joker. Only because, I mean, I want to try. I just know that it's going to be really hard. But both of these actors seem to do method acting.
yeah,
Really complete submersion into a role.
They do, and it's such a drastically different take from the other one. And I mean, you have Ledger's, like you said, it's like the chaos and everything, and Joaquin Phoenix was no, it was
more of a
delving
descent into chaos.
yeah, descent into chaos and like delving more into
Joker's pain.
his mental illness and everything, and showing like
Well, now that's one thing I do want to ask you about, since, and spoiler alerts, because we have seen the movie. If you have not seen the movie, this is the time to click like, subscribe, and save into your video file for later watchage, because we may spoil your fun. But I think that it would be a bit of a scapegoat to say that the mental illness was a big selling point on this movie. And this is the reasoning behind that. We had someone who was a victim of childhood abuse,
that's right.
which we see, we were revealed throughout the course of the movie. We knew that he had gone through severe childhood abuse.
Yeah.
Not your normal run-of-the-mill, my dad got me with the belt, but like, chained to a radiator and that sort of stuff. So severe childhood abuse. No matter which way he turns, you've got groupings of people who are willing to put him down, step on him, kick him when he's down. I think the mental abuse and the need for medication is a good subject matter to try and keep handy when thinking about should we fund programs to take care of people with mental illnesses, and that's been a huge debate ever since they shut down mental institutions. So yeah, I do believe that that's a good thing to keep in mind. However, if you don't get your Prozac today, will you kill everyone? And I don't think that's necessarily the case, unless you were emotionally abused, lied to your entire life, maybe have a severe dissociative identity disorder, and also, by the way, maybe live in the most crime-ridden city in make-believe.
I think it's also about feeling powerful in a world where you're not powerful. Like, any kind of violence toward another human being is trying to take control of your life that you have no control over. Like, it's a way of feeling like you're doing something, right?
Did you feel like, I'll start on the left,
Okay.
since you gave the
Starting
Heath Ledger
on
answer.
the left.
Do you feel like when you watch the movie, and I know you pretty well, so you're probably going to say, I'll have to rewatch it to analyze
Well,
my
to
decision.
be,
To be fair,
100%,
yeah,
to be
sure.
fair. Yeah.
But through watching it the first time,
Just one watch.
we were living through that. It was really good. But through watching that, the people who were murdered by the Joker. Now I'm not going to go into depth of who was murdered or whatnot.
Okay.
But within the people who were murdered by the Joker and who were chosen not to be murdered by the Joker, do you feel like maybe he had some sort of code of justice within this movie?
Well, so I've only seen it once. You were right in predicting that. And the reason I mention that is because a lot of people online think that he killed his imaginary girlfriend. I don't remember having that sense that he did that.
It's left to conjecture, I think.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it to make sure if it was left to conjecture or not.
But who you see him kill?
Who you see him kill? Yeah, I did not get the sense that he killed her. But So you're talking about the 3 guys on the subway. Now, like, are you asking whether or not that was justified?
Like, do
Or-
you think that maybe in that moment,
Yeah.
on a scale of like the law of Hammurabi, like God, like biblical
Yeah.
Old Testament, you've gone too far, you're a bad person, you deserve to die. Out of the people who he actually shows, and there can be some graphic scenes, so don't take your child to go see it. But through the scenes where it shows the murder, do you feel like those characters were breaking some sort of fundamental, like testament level law?
I think that the first scene where he kills the first time on the train, it's a scene where he is feeling powerless and not able to control what's going on around. It's just happening to him, and he can do nothing. And then he remembers, no, wait, I have a gun, the ultimate equalizer, and he uses it, and he surprises himself how much power he actually does have in the world when he disregards like everything he's been told.
And how much attention and respect those people will give him.
Exactly, it flipped instantly, and it takes a hold of him. It's very like emotional. I do not think, of course, that they deserve to be murdered, and it was murder at a certain point. You start to think, oh, it's self-defense.
Until he chases him down.
Well, there's that, but like there is a point like when they're beating him, like if he took out the gun and pointed at him, they would have stopped. There was no actual need to kill him. There's
That is true.
a very recent.
Do you agree? You agree?
But there was no need to kill him.
I think he was consumed by the power
Yeah.
that he had never felt
Absolutely.
before.
Well, now within the realm of self-defense, if there's 3 people attacking one person, they're using deadly force. Anything at that point within split-second decisioning within the courts of law, just in modern day America, is considered to be reasonable. Up until he chased the last one down to the stairway, hunted him.
I think after he
Right.
shot the first guy, they weren't trying to kick him anymore.
Right, but
Yeah.
within that moment of
Definitely,
adrenaline
yeah.
and fear of life, that's where you have what's called split-second decisioning, and
Yeah.
that's okay that he shot the second one, because out of that still sense of fear for
Yeah.
life, you may make that decision. The second you walk away from that initial moment and chase down the last one out of fear for
Yeah, I think that was to
God
make
or
it
thrill.
clear to the audience.
This is not self-defense.
This
This
is not
is
self-defense.
actually him going out of his way to murder.
Yeah, this is him like being consumed by this newfound like power that he's never felt before, and it's invigorating. And also the idea that like, oh no, I just murdered 2 guys, and this guy's gonna get away and tell everybody. And that's the sense I got, that he was cleaning up what he'd done.
Now, how do you feel about, there's a certain scene where he's in his apartment and he makes a pretty big murder. All right. Now, as far as that one's concerned, same question. As far as the moral code goes, do you feel like he's justified in what he's doing there in a sense of maybe a skewed perception, but some sense of morality there?
Is capital punishment okay?
I mean, in that moment, no. I mean, what he did was not okay. Now, it depends on what perspective you're looking at it, though.
So from the perspective of, this person lied. He lied about me. He slandered me. He's mean.
Like
I
the
mean,
Joker has
still,
his
no.
reasons, yeah.
I mean, still no, because I mean,
Do you view it as chaos or maybe directed anger? Though? That's what I think that's what I'm trying
Yeah,
to
it's
get at.
definitely
Oh,
directed anger.
Not like is
Sure.
not as this guy the next superhero we all need to revere. It's is it directed anger? It's not so much chaos as it is
oh no,
a
there's a purpose.
perceived anger.
Yeah, no, it's definitely in Joker's mindset. It's right in his mind.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's like it's directed anger, and like you said, like does he have a code of justice in his mind? I think it starts off as whoever wronged him is going to. It doesn't matter how much they wronged him, but the more that he went off his medication, the more reality just started to be warped into how only he sees it. And
If he just thinks that he wronged him.
yeah, and you're going to die. But I mean, it's like it shows that in the scene. It's like the little fella was I can't remember his name, but he was really nice.
The British little
Yeah.
person.
Yeah,
That was a funny scene.
yeah, he was really nice to
juxtaposition.
Joker throughout the entire thing. So he doesn't kill him. The dude thinks the Joker's going to kill him, but he lets him live. And in Joker fashion,
He tells him why.
yeah,
He gives them a big old
Yeah,
kiss.
yeah.
So it's actually kind of, that was a really fun scene. I
It
can see where
was.
people may get offended by it, but I think it was really fun. It depicted a lot about the character.
About the character.
Yeah, and that was just classic Joker in my opinion, right then and there, because it showed you like in his mind on how he reasons things, and it was just beautifully said in my opinion.
Now, speaking again to the point of comparison for Heath Ledger and
I'm
Joaquin
anxious to
Phoenix,
compare the
I want to see what you think about it. But the interesting thing that I want to bring up about it is, it seems like both of them had some sort of directed anger, directed code of what they were doing. So for Heath Ledger, like you mentioned before, it seemed to be a political statement that he was making. You know, that, oh, a whole cargo load of soldiers will get killed and everybody's okay with it, but a school bus full of kids and everybody loses their minds. That whole point right there, where as long as it's normal chaos, we accept it.
acceptable chaos.
Acceptable chaos versus,
Acceptable
oh, that's
tragedy.
perceived as a tragedy. So, with that being said, and then with this comparison I was trying to bring in with Joaquin Phoenix, maybe making some sort of directed anger, not so much chaotic anger. How would you compare those two together?
Like as like two different character versions of the Joker.
Two different character versions, and not so much these wild, crazy, chaotic characters as much as they're perceived, but in the focus of their rage. You got one who's focused on this worldview, that he wants to change everybody's mind to his mind, like affix your perception to meet his, and then this other one that's like, oh, you don't agree with my perception? You want to piss off my perception? Knock, knock.
I feel like that they're not the same characters, even though they're both Joker.
Yeah.
I feel like the Ledger Joker, and this might even be the way they want to go with it. Not Ledger, of course, but could have been influenced as a younger individual when he saw Joker on television, and then
Oh, so you're saying multiple
Yeah,
Jokers.
like because their characters are too different to be like the same man. So like the Phoenix Joker inspired
I like the way
the
that's
Ledger Joker.
Phoenix Joker. Yeah.
Phoenix Joker inspired the Ledger Joker.
The rebirth of the Joker.
That's why Ledger wears the makeup. Is harkening back to that time. You know, maybe Ledger's Joker was going through a similar kind of, or felt similar, you know, as far as abuse and stuff like that. And then he was watching late night television. And he saw this character who had been beaten down, like he had been beaten down. But then he stood up and showed the power he actually had, and it set things off in the character's mind.
So in your mind, you're trying to find a way to perceive them within
a cohesive universe. You know.
But I mean, within that, I think we all understand that Nolan wanted to make an encapsulated version, and that this remind me of the director's name real quick for the Joker.
Todd Phillips.
But I think that he also wants to make just a
I think he
one-shot
does, yeah.
artistic representation.
He's already said that this Joker will not be facing off Batman and the new Batman.
Right, and
Yeah,
even
but
though we do get
it
some
makes
hints
sense.
at Batman stuff, and
does.
that's fine, and maybe they can use some sort of tone from that. But now this brings another interesting question: how do you feel that the Joker representation in this cinematic form compares to some of the graphic content that you've read about him over the years? Can you even feel out a way that he compares to some of those classical storylines that have really focused in on him as a character?
Well, I mean, to be honest, it's the closest that we've gotten so far, but it's still not quite there yet. With how much backlash that this movie's gotten from everybody, from violence and everything, the world is not ready for full-on, violent.
No
Joker.
reason for death. That's what I was
Yeah.
trying to get
I
at.
feel like that's
No
the-
reason for the death, no reason for the torture. Pure chaos. I'm doing it because I think it's funny and I want to see it happen.
Right.
Joker.
Which that's where Joaquin's starting to go.
Killing joke.
Yeah, by the end of it,
Yeah.
he's obviously there. You know,
He does
Yeah.
find it funny,
He
and I do
finds-
find that fun.
he
That's,
finds it
yeah.
funny that he can just kill people and have that power, and then everyone has that power, but they're confining themselves.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
it's like-
you prevent yourself
But the
from
joke is
controlling
really on
others.
him. Like, because there's a reason why people don't kill each other. And it's because it benefits them to be in a normal society. And he was dead wrong when he said that it's not a tragedy, it's a comedy. It's like, no, I'm sorry. It is a tragedy. It is very sad what has happened. And that's the real joke. And it is on him. But like, yeah, by the end of the movie, he's full on in Joker mode.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
it's funny to him that he can kill someone and have all this power and no one else does this. Why does
Nobody
everyone
gets
do it?
that joke.
Yeah, no one gets it.
Yeah.
No one gets it. And he thinks that's funny.
Which that's Joker.
And that's Joker. Yeah, but like,
That is, and I can see where you're going with that, especially what Joker became over the comics within the 80s and the
Mhm.
90s, how he kind of evolved to be darker and darker over time.
Right.
Because we all know there was a day and age where the comic books were very much the Adam West version of
we're lean
Batman.
heavy. In that.
You know,
Yeah.
it leaned heavy into that very colorful, bright, comedic sense of
comic
things.
booky.
It was, yeah.
I hate to use that term.
But I mean, that's what's funny about it is like, 1930s Batman, when he was first coming out, I think it was, 1939, June, somewhere in there?
Yes,
First came out.
39. It was a year
So
after
Detective
Superman.
Comics was not funny. It was not comic booky. It was very gritty, very noir, very violent. There was a gun in Batman's hand most of the time. People did die. Mysteries did happen. It wasn't until we got to the 70s and the hippies came along and changed them into a bright, colorful acid trip. And then we got the TV show where it was equally campy, and that was fun for a while. That kept people interested because they had had too much war. They'd seen too much death.
It
The
was designed to be
society
funny.
needed it to be funny.
Yeah, it wasn't like something when I was a kid. I just thought that people in the 60s thought this was cool and gritty, but it was just campy to us. It's like, no, it was designed to be that way.
It was designed
It's
because
not
that's what the world needed at the time. So Batman and Joker, the way they reinvent themselves, they become what we need them to be
Yeah.
for our current
So
time.
what does that say about the new Joker?
That's where I would get to. That's what I would say.
It's
is
like the
definitely,
reason
what
this
does that
movie
say about
was
us?
created was because of the times that we're living
Yeah.
in.
Well,
So you
does
need
it-
to look at that?
Does everyone right now feel so alienated and inside themselves, feel like they're constantly bullied, feel like there's some excuse for this, that they need this violent outburst, but at the same time, do they also need to be shown this isn't
is
the
not the
proper
way.
way to
Yeah.
do this?
And I think that's very much what the movie does, is it doesn't glorify him at all. In fact, he's very a sad, pathetic character through to the end, and that's why it's a tragedy. Because you do kind of get hints of like, I kind of like this guy, and I want him
I want to like it.
I want him to do well, but then he does horrible things sometimes, and then I didn't like him less and less and less, and by the end, the guy that you wanted him to be, he isn't.
Yeah.
And it's tragic loss.
It's a
because
comedy and a tragedy.
someone that could have been good, productive, happy, isn't. You shouldn't like, it's not someone to be envied,
He's not to be
Well,
idolized.
Yeah, he is
Yeah.
not.
Now, people will.
Heath
Of
Ledger
course.
Joker, all the controversy about this is ridiculous because everything that they say this movie is, the Heath Ledger Joker is. And this Joaquin Phoenix is not. So, like, he's, like, cool and indie. He's got power and confidence. This Joker does not. Like, in no way does anyone want to be this Joker, I wouldn't think. He's a sad, pathetic character.
I think that people who might not have that same level of charisma and strength might look up to this as a way to gain it, and that's what people are worried about. But at that same token, I think that no matter what character you put on the screen, no matter what form of gore you give it, people will find a way to turn it into an idol of death and evil for themselves. They'll do it, no matter what it is. It could be Skeletor laughing like a giddy child on a Saturday morning cartoon, and a kid who needs to find a way to have an excuse. Excuse makers will always find an excuse.
I would definitely say this movie is an adult movie. And I would say that saying that, like, it's not a matter of how old you are, but like an actual
How
adult.
much you can absorb.
Well, how much you can, like, take the movie for what it is and not apply it, to things that it isn't.
Now, one of the interesting things I do want to bring up about that too is when people see this, they need to remember one of the things that I noticed throughout the movie is that there's not really a panel or a scene, as it were, and this brought up what we were talking about after the movie. There's not really a panel or a scene that doesn't showcase Joaquin Phoenix from minute one to the end. He carries the entire movie. He constantly is in the shot.
He's constantly
right?
suffering.
Except for one shot,
Yeah.
and that's when he climbs into the refrigerator. And that shows a devoid of him being there. So,
Oh, you've been thinking about
I've been thinking about that. And then that moment, when he goes into the cold, when he goes into the void, when he goes away, so you no longer see him in the scene, and everything gets real shaky and unsteady,
You're
he's
saying.
losing himself.
Yeah.
He's no longer perceiving himself in that moment. Think about that. Chew on that.
Yeah, so
See how you feel
we,
about that.
had-
Sort yourself out.
And I haven't looked this up online to see if anyone else had thoughts, but we had, I asked him what that scene was about because it didn't make any sense. So like Joaquin Phoenix, Joker, or Arthur, pulling all the stuff in the refrigerator out of it, and you don't know why yet, and then you do when he starts to step into it and he closes the door. Now the camera sits there, which in of itself is not strange, but then it starts to move as though someone picked it up. And they don't try to hide this at all. And then
It's
just
deliberate.
someone's just holding the camera. And it's deliberate because it takes a while.
It makes you feel unanchored, though. That moment
And I'm like,
in
why
yourself,
are they
you
doing
feel
this? This is
unanchored.
so strange.
Yeah,
But you
it
also,
was-
I think what you don't realize, and this might take a second viewing, we might have to go see it again, but I think what you don't realize is that that's the first moment you don't have that actor anchoring you in the movie. He's devoid of the scene. So even within the fact that I think that the camera is his perception of life, I think he lives in that dissociated version of life the whole time. I think that that's the first time you're supposed to realize that he himself doesn't know where he is. He's lost himself. He feels closed off. He feels cold. He feels away and unstable, unsteady.
Like you said, I'm going to have to watch it.
It's going to have to be done
That
again
actually
and
makes
again.
sense.
How are we doing on time there, boss?
10 minutes left.
All right, so I want to talk just a little bit more about the Joker, and then I want to go over a comic that we all read, and just see how that went. But in this new rendition that Matt Reeves is supposed to be coming out with of a nice, shiny new Batman, what kind of a Joker would you think would be best presented into that world? Would you think this kind of a dark, very character arc focused Joker would even be applicable to a comic book style setting where you need superhero villain combat?
I don't know. That's a really tough question because I really liked this version of Joker a lot. I would love to see that one continue into the Matt Reeves verse, but then again, I would really like to see more of the comic book version of the Joker as well face off against the one that actually. Well, no, he really wasn't never really that physical though.
He gets physical at time or two,
At
and he's got
time.
gadgets and whatnot.
So
Because Batman has his gadgets, but so does Joker.
They can just throw in the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. I mean, he's.
I think that this one really belongs in a frame. I think it needs to be framed.
I think you might be
I think it
right.
needs to be,
I'm
yeah.
thinking about like
It's
what you
so
said.
art driven that it just needs to be framed.
Yeah,
Well, like,
true.
That version of Joker wouldn't hold up 2 seconds against pretty much any version of Batman. Like, because he's not a genius.
But
He's the guy.
in that Joker realm, in that say we bring Batman into this verse instead of trying to think of how to take this Joker
So
into
like
a Batman
literally,
verse.
like
Literally put
what would the
Batman in this.
Batman of
What would
this
he be like?
Todd Phillips universe look like when compared to the Joker?
Very more so realistic, not this glorified Batman that can punch out with the best of them, but a real dude with real arthritis from punching real punching bags way too much.
Like he also crazy. 'Cause he would have
Also
to be,
crazy,
like,
also that child in the alleyway that saw meaningless death.
when you talk about the Joker and like being
Or-
realistic in like Nolan's version, and
That wasn't even that realistic
when you compare it to this Joker, it's not realistic
Or-
at all.
Not at all.
How about this? What if Batman is just like Arthur's girlfriend, completely imaginary?
That's
I mean, that could be a way to bring it into this
he
verse
beats
to make it,
himself
yeah.
up.
Yeah.
He's constantly beating
Part of
himself
him,
up.
It's like, no man, Arthur, this is
Maybe
all wrong.
that's that sense of justice that he has inside of himself that makes him feel down, that makes him feel bad. Every time he's choking himself,
Yeah.
it's really the Batman saying, "Stop it!
And
Stop laughing!"
That's a big joke.
Yeah,
Like, that would be the ultimate joke that he is Batman.
he's
Yeah,
Batman.
there's been the other way around in the comic books where like Batman realizes that he has to kill his parents. He travels back in time or something. That he's the one who did it, and then it drives him mad, and he becomes the villain Joker. Like
The Batman who laughs, right?
I don't think that's it. I think that's something else.
Oh, okay.
Maybe I don't know. I don't read comics.
Actually, coming up next Saturday, I'll get a chance to maybe ask the author himself, Scott Snyder. Will be,
Oh, is he gonna be on?
He will be. That would be awesome. He will be at the Comic Expo that Danny and I will be attending,
Okay.
and hopefully we can get him on some sort of film footage, and he doesn't punch me in the face.
Yeah,
So-
he could. He's very.
He's allowed. He's allowed. I mean, everybody has their
He works
choices in
out,
life.
so be careful.
Yeah,
He could be better.
I'll be wearing armor.
Okay.
Okay, so
Just don't dress as a Joker.
I'll just have white face paint on. So anyway, we all read a movie called The Collapser.
Okay, that's not a movie.
It's not a movie. We
But
read
it
a
could
comic.
be.
It could be. I don't know how I would take it as a movie.
I feel like now that you mention that, that it was written to become a movie.
Maybe a Twilight Zone episode.
I can see it.
I think that we,
Yeah,
that
episode of
that
Doctor
kind
Who.
of, yeah, maybe. Well, Doctor Who's pretty fun. This wasn't,
Oh,
this wasn't as much
You didn't
for
like
me.
it.
I don't feel like it was as much crazy fun.
What did you like about it? He's having to think too
So
long.
we all read a comic called The Collapser.
Right.
Now it had some very intriguing looking choices as far as
Who
art
wrote it?
representation. That is a good call that you made there. Just throwing out
We're just gonna
questions
throw
that
it
we.
down underneath.
Yeah,
there.
because we don't have the actual comic book in front of us right now, or a
Is
whole lot of
brother-
technological support at the moment.
You guys ever?
Indubitably is a great word and very hard to auto spell in a droid. Now, how did you feel about the art in this comic?
Let me dial back to a week or two ago.
Yeah, well, it's been a minute since we read it, but yeah,
No, the art. I mean, I loved.
I thought it was interesting.
I liked it. I don't remember most of it, but it was.
So it was not impactful art. Could you say
Yeah,
it was
it
no
really-
Rob Liefeld?
You could remember Liefeld even better because even though
Right.
it's crazy, huge-chested, thin-ankled guys that don't make sense, and
It impacts you.
Well,
it impacts you.
Yeah.
it didn't. It just.
Punches you right in the face.
Yeah, it says this is what an 18-year-old Rob wants a man to look like.
Hey, why not a 50-year-old Rob?
But
He still wants him to look that way.
But no, like you're saying about the comic, it's just it was okay. I definitely like the one before it better as far as like art
The
style
colors
goes,
and
the
art
colors,
style,
everything.
Like not the first issue, but we actually reviewed another comic book before this one.
I mean, it was intriguing,
What's that
but
one
I just
called?
didn't
It was
like
really
the.
cool.
No, it wasn't.
It was super cool. I like the colors.
I didn't like. Oh, now I'm remembering the story.
Okay.
It
Collapsed.
it collapses. Like the story is just it. I didn't like. Yeah,
the art
collapse.
shows that though.
Yeah.
The art shows a collapse of events.
Yeah, it does, and I think they revealed way way too much in the beginning. It's like it felt like they should have saved the climax for a few issues afterwards. It's like it didn't grab me. You know, it's like the whole reveal. It's like, oh, he's not crazy. This is really happening. I'm like,
well, that brings up an interesting point, and I'm going
It's
to direct this
frustrating.
one at you, mon frere, mon chaud black. Do you feel,
Yes, I do.
and now on top of that, secondary
Another
question,
question.
do you think that, as you feel,
Yes.
that a comic book in its form, in its format, when it comes in a single issue, probably about 22 pages worth of artwork,
Yeah.
when it comes at you, do you feel like it should be an encapsulated story within those 22 pages that can
Okay.
explain itself? Or,
Self-contained.
yeah, should it be self-contained like a Saturday morning cartoon?
Yeah.
Or should it just play parts into a bigger story arc? And within that, is it fair to try to give a review on a singular book?
Like, I think that,
As far more than
yeah,
just
I would
art.
say the ideal for me would be a bit of both. Like, you want some overarching story because it kind of keeps characters interesting. It also rewards people for keeping up with things.
yeah.
But I do think that there should be at least one of those mini arcs that you're putting in your book self-contained. It could be small. You could have a Spider-Man issue and Parker's dealing with all the stuff that's happening in his life. You have no idea what it is. There's a little note by Stan saying you have to read this issue to find out what he's so worried about. But in that issue, he's trying to get, a bundt cake across town to his girlfriend's mom for some reason. And the whole issue is dealing with stuff that's been going on that you're not aware of because you haven't read anything.
But you know where to because it notes it.
But within that issue is a complete story arc that you can read from beginning to end. And at the end, he doesn't get the bundt cake. It gets smashed right before he gets there.
That's sad.
It is sad, but it's okay because MJ knew that was going to happen because she knows Peter and she has the extra one with it.
Right, she plans for his
she plans
mistakes.
for his mistakes.
That is true. I really do, and that makes me want to
So
harken
they
back
choose
to
both.
Chris Claremont. Chris Claremont wrote a lot of stories that were encapsulated, if not in one issue, then you knew it was going to be 2 to 3 issues for that resolution to happen for that one story. So Days of Future Past, 2 issues. You're
2 issues, I'm
done
still good with
dealing with that because you knew this was going to be continued and then concluded within that. But like you said, there was an overarching storyline or
Right.
character development for all of these characters. So steadily we get the Phoenix storyline, Dark Phoenix storyline, Days of Future Past. But throughout all of this, we also get to learn at one point in time, Storm
Yeah.
was a thief in Cairo.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we also get to learn later on in this other little story arc, she's claustrophobic.
Yeah. Or
Because she witnessed her parents die and there was a collapse. And then later on we get to find out she wasn't just a thief in Cairo. It was the Shadow King that made her do it.
Yeah.
So that kind of happened over time.
Tis
And I
true.
think having multiple story arcs in your monthly book is a good idea. The only bad thing about that is when the writers can't handle it and they just leave threads lying there that are important that should lead somewhere but don't. Or it switches writers, and that's why story threads get left.
Well,
It's
and
like
to be
reading.
fair, what we mentioned just now, Chris Claremont is one of the only writers that got to be on a book for over 17 years
Wow.
straight. So that's how amazing he was. We
Yes.
do need to kind of wrap everything up for tonight. Next time we come back, we are going to discuss the Bat family. That is our planned topic of debate. That will be a
Absolutely.
Halloween special episode. Maybe you'll see some Halloween spectacular effects and or costumes. Who knows? You may even have to say goodbye to somebody's beard on this panel. Whose beard will be sacrificed? You'll have to tune in next time to find out for sure. But until then, like, subscribe, share with your grandmother, twist your friend's arm, make them get in on it. And as always, tune in on our Facebook where you can find a handy dandy mug like this to encapsulate all your delicious coffee. It tastes better when it comes out of this cup.
It does.
Until
It
next
does.
time, thank you, and we wish you the best in life.
it.